What's up, everyone? It's Andres Restart, and I'm hosting Nintendo Super Podcast, and we are joined by our members, Inside Gaming Online, call him Sean, or Elder Sean, or IGO Sean. Also,
what's going on?
We have Other Sean, Monolith Gaming.
Hey.
And we have Andy, also known as NintendoAndy.
Howdy.
So we're all here again. I like that we got our third episode. We're starting our third episode now. I'm really excited about it. And I think we have some interesting topics to talk about this week. So we're going to be sticking with a similar form we did last time, where we're going to have 4 topics to talk about this week, and we're going to devote 10 minutes to each one, and we're going to have a timer. But we have this ability to add 5 minutes to one topic, and we can only do it once. So once we do it early on. We can't do it later on, and we're actually going to get cut off this time. But towards the end of the podcast, if we have any closing thoughts to sort of cement any ideas we may have discussed throughout the discussion, we will have that. So stay tuned all the way until the end. Anyways, guys, are you guys ready to go?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Do it.
Okay, so for the first order of business, we are going to talk about Switch on a toilet. You guys can just do what you do.
Switch on a toilet.
Yeah.
For those probably not knowing what we're talking about, and if you're in the gaming industry, you got to know what we're talking about. But Nintendo of Europe released a commercial about Super Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Edition, and the beginning of the video shows a guy taking his Switch and going to the toilet and playing while he's on a can. And to me, that is perfect advertisement, because who hasn't thought about playing the Switch while they're taking a dump?
Exactly. I want to know where the guy who came up with this idea, where he was the whole time during the Wii U. That was like the best marketing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. I mean, I think one important and also sad thing to note, this is Nintendo of UK and not Nintendo of America or Nintendo of Japan. They do each do things a little differently. I would love to see this kind of marketing here in America. I think it would go over really well with our younger generation. Really well with all those dude bros that love Call of Duty. And yeah.
Reggie Fils-Aimé on the toilet. His bow is ready.
Like
nobody wants to see that.
It would go over really well. His bowel is ready. Go on.
I think it's fantastic, but it's like you said, UK has always been a little bit out there as far as advertising goes. We've always seen them do things a little bit differently, so it doesn't necessarily mean that commercial is gonna be seen or anything like that. I hope so, though, because it instantly draws you. It makes it more real. You know, it's something everybody does every day.
Switch.
And playing a game while doing it is fantastic. And they really need to capitalize on it and make an American commercial with this in mind.
Yeah. I actually like the music too. It's like, oh, switch. It's catchy, and it doesn't. It's so different. It's a far cry from the nuclear families that were going with the Wii U. Like it was terrible. Like the advertisements for that were terrible.
Horrible. Oh,
and they didn't even really have the games to back it up. Yeah.
Oh.
It's pretty successful because the Nintendo UK, their YouTube channel is not that successful. It only has 58,000 subscribers, but it has 100,000 views, 2,055 likes, 49 dislikes, which is not bad.
Great.
That's an amazing ratio.
It's 49 people that don't have a sense of humor.
Yeah.
Right.
I do have
poop. Oh, I can't stand it on my Switch.
Well, their names are John.
Yeah. Poop offends, I guess.
I mean, if someone throws poop in my face, I will be offended.
They need to have a DLC for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe where it's a toilet bowl you ride on.
Oh,
that would be the
gosh,
coolest
that'd
thing.
be perfect.
Oh my god.
Or the track is just a big loop down the toilet bowl.
Little turds just walking around the raceway. You could bump into them.
This is
the
not
deluxe track
happen.
inside somebody's colon.
This is not going to happen.
I will say I have one issue with playing games on the toilet is that every time I do, I don't actually poop or anything. I just sit there for like 20 minutes, like playing my game. I'm like, wait, what am I doing?
I do it until my legs go numb, and then I can't stand up because my legs are numb.
Yeah, it's the most peaceful place in the house. the toilet.
Yes.
You know,
So
bathroom.
many great ideas have come out of the toilet. Maybe the idea for the Switch came out on the toilet. Like,
Yeah.
you know, may he rest in peace, but Iwata may have been sitting on the toilet. It's like, Jesus Christ, what am I going to do about this fuck up of the Wii U? Like,
Watch the
if I switch?
Nintendo Switch be like the number one reason why most males are gonna have to get more colonoscopies done. Like, because
There's a correlation between Switch owners and colonoscopies. It's not causation though. Yeah, it's possible, but humor aside, this is fantastic marketing, and it kind of, it's a big part of what I think Nintendo's doing here with the Switch, and everyone has their own opinions on the internet about how the Switch is going to do and how they feel about it, but I really think the Switch is set up to market itself better than any other home console before it because, well, one, it's on the go. So when people see you playing it, that's marketing in and of itself, and it kind of goes hand in hand with Nintendo's old philosophy of word of mouth marketing, because when people see you playing this Mario Kart 8 or Zelda on this 720p HD screen, it's like, oh, I can't do that on my phone. But that's because this is not a phone. This is a home console in my hands, in the airplane, bitch. Like, so I think that could go over really well. And it's going to help to boost the system. Like, I think the system in and of itself markets itself, and I think Nintendo has a really great idea here. And if they do things like the Switch on a toilet commercial, like, there could be a lot. There's so much potential here. Like, I think they're doing so much right. Like, they could really make this system successful if they just do a couple more things correctly and fix some certain errors they had, like with voice chat. Like, things could work out here.
I do think that I mean, I don't really watch like regular TV, so I haven't noticed if there are any Switch commercials, but that's the one area that it's kind of alarming to me because the Switch console's so close and you haven't seen any commercials. Now this can all go away next week when the Super Bowl gets here and they have a major commercial in the Super Bowl. That would be incredible right there. That's what they need. They need a major advertising push for this.
If the Nintendo of UK commercial was put into the Super Bowl.
Oh, that would be great.
Because the thing is, like, it would make so much sense because the Super Bowl has a lot of commercials, or it used to. The Super Bowl commercials have gotten terrible over the years. Like, they just get worse every year, in my opinion. But, like, you're allowed to have these weird, unorthodox, like, kind of like WTF moments with Super Bowl commercials. And that Switch on a toilet commercial from Nintendo of UK would fit that bill to a T.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, people would have quite an impression.
Yeah, they would generate so much talk.
They wouldn't even have to make another commercial, spend money on it. Just use that one. That's it.
Right. The only problem with that is that Mario Kart 8 is not coming for launch. But still, it would still work.
Oh yeah.
It would still work. But they're gonna do Zelda. It has to be. I mean, maybe it's Zelda and Mario Kart. Maybe like they could literally take the Mario Kart images from the screen, just put Zelda on it. Like they could do that, or they could mix it up and do both. There should be a commercial at the Super Bowl, but who knows? It went over well with Pokemon Go, though I don't know if the Super Bowl commercial really had anything to do with it. But
it was just the 20th anniversary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't really it wasn't a Pokemon Go commercial, right? It was just like a Pokemon commercial.
Just Pokemon.
You're right.
It was.
Commercial. I'm sorry. I'm confusing the initial Pokemon Go commercial with the 20th anniversary commercial. Like there were nods, but it was so subtle. Like if you weren't looking for it, you may not have even realized it was a Pokemon commercial.
Yeah.
Like it was that subtle. I don't know, but I think Nintendo. I hope they do a Super Bowl commercial. I think they've been on the ball with their marketing for the most part. Like I think they should. I feel like they will, but it's hard to say.
Yeah, and another thing about this commercial is two things. Again, there's no kids in this commercial. It's geared towards young adults, and it shows people playing the game in class, in their living room together. So besides, the guy taking a dump, it's pretty much tells you what the Switch is. It's for home. It's for on the go. Yeah, this would be a perfect commercial to play during Super Bowl.
It really would be. I feel like they're not going to use this commercial. They're not. If they do, like, it'll be so amazing. It will just
Oh
be
my
so
God.
amazing. Like, there are going to be people like, oh, Switch on the toilet. Oh. But, like, most people are going to be like, hey, that's
Yeah.
kind of hilarious, and this looks really fun and cool. You know? Like, it'll be really great. And Mario Kart 8 is so marketable. Like, that game sold amazing on the Wii U, and I can only imagine what it could do for the Switch. So, which is another thing. Like, Nintendo has a lot of really big games going into the first year for the Switch lineup, and these are the kind of games that I only wish that the Wii U had something like that. Like, I always think about, oh, what if Mario Kart 8 and Splatoon and Xenoblade and Mario Maker all came out in the first year for the Wii U? Like, things would have been very different.
Yeah.
Of course, it took us 3 more years, so I mean, Nintendo's 3 years behind. So, but that's what could have happened, and they have that opportunity here with the Switch. So I'm really excited about it, and yeah, I think this system is being marketed pretty well. Aside from the whole PR voice chat issue, that might be kind of a problem. So yeah, so we are getting close to the end of this topic, guys. You have any closing thoughts on Switch on the toilet and Nintendo's marketing?
Only thing I can say is Nintendo of America, do something on the Super Bowl.
You need your Switch on a toilet.
Yeah. Get
You need
everybody
it.
talking about it. Get some Switch hype
I
going.
just think it's
All right.
impertinent. It's pertinent that they push this advertising in the next few weeks because people need to know the difference between it and the PS4 and Xbox One.
Right, and they need to tell people, look, people need to understand that this is something that's worth it. Like, and they also the other issue is that people need to understand that they can still play other games on it. It can't just be Nintendo games. So they got to show Skyrim. Maybe there is Resident Evil 7 coming, like that rumor with the whole cartridge thing, and then they announce it during the Super Bowl. Like, that would be pretty huge. It's not going to happen, but it would be pretty huge, and it would make a difference. But it's not going to happen. But yeah, I think it's really key that they show off what the console can do, and they let it be known that this console is worth it, even side by side to the Xbox One and PS4. Like, they need to really get across that value. So.
Yeah.
Switch on a toilet might do it.
Definitely.
All right. So do we want to continue this or move forward? I think we can move forward, but what do you guys feel like?
Yeah, move forward.
Yeah, we should. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So next topic, we are going to be talking about this. Well, first of all, there's a whole slew of interviews that came out about Zelda with Eiji Aonuma, and honestly, there were so many interviews to talk about. I suggest you guys go on and read the interviews for yourself, especially if you love Zelda. There's a lot to talk about there. But there's one thing we're going to talk about in particular, and actually, younger Sean, sweet baby Sean, you put out a video of it yourself. So why don't you go on and talk about this topic? Introduce it to everyone.
Okay, so as some of you may know, there's a YouTuber. His name is That One Video Gamer, also known as the Completionist, who's like somewhat affiliated with like JonTron and Peanut Butter Gamer and like all those.
Yeah, an awesome interview.
Yeah, and
he interviewed with
Miyamoto and
Eiji
Aonuma.
Yeah.
So he, in the interview at the beginning of it, he says, or the Completionist asked him, with this new game, like all the stuff that you put into it, how does it feel to be finally done? So Aonuma says, there's so much stuff that we put in this game, but there's still so much that we want to put into it, and we're still thinking of ways to do that. So he didn't really get too much into it, obviously, because he probably would have spoiled a little bit. But pretty much what he's implying is that there's more stuff that they want to put in this game, whether it might be DLC or content updates like Nintendo has done before, or maybe even an entire new sequel like Majora's Mask was with Ocarina of Time and all the reused assets.
So, yeah, I actually think we are in a situation where that can happen. Well, one, obviously pretty much everyone's super excited about Breath of the Wild, but we've been on a really, really bad cycle with Zelda games. Like, once upon a time, I mean, it's kind of shifted, but, since the era of the 3D era, Zelda games are kind of on a 2 to 3 year sort of timeline, and then they slowly gone like became 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, and now 6 years between mainline Zelda games on consoles. They need to get away from that. And when Ocarina of Time came out, obviously everyone knows what Ocarina of Time is, one of the best games of all time for many. We got Majora's Mask, which is arguably one of the best sequels of all time. A lot of people prefer Majora's Mask over Ocarina of Time. And that game's amazing. It came out 2 years after Ocarina of Time, which was a major endeavor for Nintendo. They worked on Ocarina of Time like hell. Yet they were still able to pull off a whole other game because they reused the same assets, the same engine. And what they did with Breath of the Wild, they've accomplished something. They've talked about how it's taken them years to get that physics engine right. Why just leave it all for one game? Why not reuse that, rework it, make it a little bit better, but bring out a new game within 2 or 3 years, or DLC? They have a huge opportunity here to break that 6-year cycle.
Very good point.
Mm-hmm.
And also, the fact that the game is very influenced by Western games like open world, like Skyrim and The Witcher, and I'm pretty sure at one point Al Numa said that he was influenced by Far Cry 3 at one point a couple years ago. So, there's such a very Western influence, and all the Western games love DLC. So maybe that's also another point towards it having additional story like Skyrim and The Witcher.
Right. I think they could do DLC. It would be... Yeah, it's definitely possible in so many different ways. And yeah, Skyrim and The Witcher, they have DLC. They have multiple DLCs. And basically just extra adventures, a little small, they add a little side quest or maybe change around the gameplay a little bit. They have so much options here. And they've devoted so much time and money and effort to the Breath of the Wild engine that I don't see, from a business standpoint, it only makes sense to take advantage of that, reuse the assets, or use DLC to make people invest more into what they created here. And that could be really amazing. I love the idea of being able to play another Zelda, or having DLC quests every year,
Yeah.
that. Breath of the Wild is amazing in its own right. It's more than a complete game. Breath of the Wild is probably 10 games in one, but to be able to play more without having to wait and theorize about Zelda and having 2-hour-long analysis of a 15-second teaser, for 3 years, it would be nice to actually play a Zelda game instead for a little while, So
Right.
I'm really hopeful that they'll be able to do something. And from the interview, it sounds like we may. I don't know if it's gonna be DLC or another game in a year or two, but it's looking like we'll see something for Zelda on the Nintendo Switch before we have to start talking about the next console, and that would be really great.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you were gonna say anything, Elder Sean?
Just anything, any way they can get a Zelda, I'm happy with. Whether it be DLC, new games, it doesn't matter to me. And if they do DLC, it's a great way to pump life into the game because we're probably going to be spending a lot of time playing the game as it is. But say 3 or 4 months down the road and we're playing other games like Splatoon and stuff like that, it'd be cool to go back and play DLC for that game. Yeah. It's just nice to see that Nintendo's opening the door for DLC and putting their own spin on it.
Yeah, this is a new Nintendo. This isn't the same Nintendo from the Wii days or the GameCube days where they were so opposed to online connectivity and doing these different things. This is a new Nintendo. They're doing a lot of things that's on par with the competition. In some ways, doing it better than the competition. And, well, I don't know what's going to happen with voice chat, but it looks like they're at least trying to put their own spin on things. I hope it works out. We won't really know until we get full details, but yeah, I'm super excited for the potential here. There is so much.
Yeah.
Andy, do you have anything to add?
No, just that if they like money, they'll do this. And that's the thing. Everybody's going to buy this game. This is going to be the ratio of people that owning a Switch. It's going to be really high for them to have Breath of the Wild. So it's going to be a huge, money maker for them if they do add something like DLC. And we've seen it in the previous generation with Mario Kart that Nintendo's pretty good at it. Mario Kart DLC was great. It had a lot to it. So
it was amazing.
It can make a lot. They can make a lot of money with it, and I'm super excited for it if that's the case. Added quests, added weapons. Who knows? The possibilities are endless.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, there's 2 points I actually want to bring up here. Well, one, Skyrim. People still are playing a lot of Skyrim. We got a Skyrim remastered version for the new console. The Switch is going to get a version of that in a few months as well. Like, that game is so replayable. People are playing it all the time. And Breath of the Wild could be very similar because, like, the way it's been described, like, you could have a different gameplay experience every time you go into the game. So this game is going to have a lot of replayability, and you could exacerbate that, and I mean that in the best way possible, by adding DLC. But there is one problem that I realized while we were talking about this, right? So if you had DLC, it probably would only come out for the Switch version and not the Wii U version, right? And Nintendo, especially like Eiji Aonuma, they've said repeatedly, this is the same game, same features, same content. Like, they've been really safe about saying that because I think they're really trying not to upset the Wii U owners that are not willing to immediately upgrade to the Switch and get Zelda with that. So this could even potentially lead to them not putting out DLC and just focusing on creating another game, like a Majora's Mask or like a Super Mario Galaxy 2 to the original Galaxy, like something like that. So I would love to have DLC, but I'm just putting that out there that maybe out of fear of upsetting that smaller base of Nintendo.
Why wouldn't the Wii U base be able to get DLC?
I just don't think it'll be worth it from them at that point, like to develop that, and if they want to upgrade the game more with the graphics and such, and you take advantage of the Switch hardware, like, and on top of that it requires like continual support of Wii U servers. I have no idea how much longer they're going to support Wii U servers, So there's different things to consider there. So I mean, yeah, maybe they could still have DLC on the Wii U, but like, who's going to be playing? Honestly, how many people are going to be playing their Wii U by that point? Which then may make them, at that point, maybe they won't care about adding DLC and not giving it to Wii U owners. So
yeah, that's the thing.
I'm just putting that out there.
There's got to be something that they do that will make you want to get, besides graphics, and besides it performing better. There's got to be something that they do that makes you want to upgrade to the Switch version. I think that's perfect. And the Wii U owners that refuse to get the Switch version, that they don't want to, or they don't have enough money, they really can't complain because they're getting a complete game. They're getting what was promised to them. So
right, which is why I also don't think if we're gonna hear about DLC or a sequel, it's not gonna be for a while. Like, don't expect this at E3 this year. Like, best case scenario, E3 2018. Best case scenario, but like, I'm thinking DLC, maybe we could get something at some point in 2018. But if it's gonna be another game, don't expect it any sooner than 2019. Putting that out there.
Yeah, if it's DLC usually comes out pretty decently soon after launch for most games, like 6 months or so.
What was Mario Kart 8, like a year after?
Yeah, it took a while.
Yeah.
It took a while, and then there was a second set of DLC. So we hit our timer. You guys have any closing thoughts for this topic? I think we covered it, but...
Yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting to see how this plays out, if it's going to be DLC or a totally new game.
Yeah. So, all right, I guess we can just move on to the next topic. We're all excited for Zelda. Hopefully it has a sequel with DLC, probably. But let's worry about that for the future. So, the next big topic has to do with the specs that came out for the Nintendo Switch over last week. Some information came out for the Switch. Now, we didn't get any hard numbers about the Nintendo Switch in terms of like GPU clock speeds and stuff like that, but we did get some interesting pieces of information. So do you guys have anything to harp on that while I pull this up, because I did not pull it up beforehand?
Well, I got one interesting thing that I just discovered. I pulled it up because the specs are on nintendo.co.uk. It's their UK website.
Oh, you have it?
And what's interesting is I'm looking on their website, and I'm also logged into my Nintendo. So that's actually kind of cool, because
I noticed that too.
I can go to a UK, the official UK store, and probably buy stuff, and it's going to be connected to my Nintendo. And I might be able to do that with Japanese games as well. So that's pretty friggin' awesome.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, imagine going to a Japanese website and buying Japanese Virtual Console games, and it's connected to your My Nintendo account.
That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, the system is, it's region free now. So like,
Hmm.
I mean, not through the eShop, but like if you are in another country, you can buy games or you can have them imported.
Yeah.
So, um,
Hey, at least we can get the Japanese version of Mother 3 if it doesn't come to the U.S.
Yeah.
Just have to just have to learn Japanese language.
okay, so I actually I finally got the specs up. So I'm gonna run through some of this stuff. Nothing. I'm not gonna run through all of it, but just some things that kind of stand out to me. So we got the sizes and weight for the system. Now, the interesting about the weight is that this weight is the exact same weight that we saw in the Foxconn rumor. Now, the only reason this is important is because that Foxconn rumor hasn't really been disproved, and continual information, like even the battery, like they got the exact specifications for the battery as well. Like this Foxconn rumor, without no one that has without inside sources hasn't had access to all this information. So it's making it seem like this Foxconn rumor, like whoever reported it, actually had their hands on the Switch, and they got to look at the inside of the Switch, and they reported the actual architecture and specs of the Switch. Now, what makes this things a little bit more interesting is that this report from the Foxconn rumor, it's of the Pascal, more up-to-date, newer, more efficient architecture with better clock speeds compared to what Eurogamer reported for the Switch. Now, personally, I don't think the power differential is going to make that much of a difference because I think even the lower specs of the Switch, you can still get multiplats on the system. So I don't think it's that big of a difference, but it could make a difference later down the line. It's just an interesting thing to point out, just putting that out there for everyone, that this Foxconn rumor may actually be true. So I don't know if there's anything you guys want to add to that.
We're not. I
No.
guess we're not. We're not like tech. We don't keep importance to that too much because we care about games. So I guess we don't have that
Right.
much add to it.
Yeah. Just all right. Well, there is something else that stands out to me that I think is very interesting. So when you go to communication features, right, talk about wireless LAN and all that stuff, it talks about Bluetooth 4.1 TV mode only. So
What the heck
why
does
do I
that
think that's interesting? So Bluetooth 4.1 is typically used for like headsets and stuff, right? Like that's above normal Bluetooth like 3.0 or something like that. This Bluetooth 4.1 would be used for like headsets that would be used for voice chat, but it's only available when you're in TV mode. So what do you guys think that suggests?
That could definitely suggest like Bluetooth headsets.
Right, but but only when the Switch is docked. So what I'm getting at is that people are complaining about all these voice chat stuff, but what if the whole phone app thing is really more to get a better online service with full out features when the system is on the go, when it doesn't have access to, necessarily like wireless route, on all those good stuff. So I think that the headset is meant for the Switch and voice chat and stuff at home. Maybe that could be what it's indicating here. It's hard to say, but I think it's interesting nonetheless to note that Bluetooth 4.1 is available in TV mode.
Yeah. And we also got the audio jack, which is it says for connecting commercially available headphones, microphones, or headsets.
Yeah.
So I mean, the app that Nintendo talked about could be you basically do all of your stuff while the system itself is docked, because you basically don't have any use to the touchscreen. And maybe when you undock it, you can do the voice chat and stuff like that on the screen itself. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how they do this. I know we've talked about how it's been miscommunicated about how this is going to be done. Reggie Fils-Aimé really didn't give us that much detail for this, and everybody is kind of looking into their own, ideals of what this is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
But it's nice that we're actually getting something solid, audio jack. You'll be able to hook in headphones, Bluetooth. If you're sitting home, you can have headphones. So I don't know. It's a mystery that it seems like everybody's talking about with this voice chat.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I was just looking over a couple other things, and towards the end it says aspects such as the non-removable battery was also confirmed previously. Even if it's not ideal. The micro SD section also confirms the inevitable, a day one firmware update. So here's mention of a day one firmware update, and the reason that stands out to me is because it's just another pin in the idea that the Nintendo Switch is getting a soft launch. Now, I don't know if you guys know what a soft launch is or if you heard about it, but basically a soft launch is kind of like a trial period for a piece of hardware. My cat just jumped on the desk. No, Onyx, I am doing a podcast. Bad kitty. He's still young. Sorry. Anyways, a soft launch is basically kind of like a trial period for a lot of hardware, and it looks like that's what they're doing with the Nintendo Switch because the online service is not fully functional yet. We don't have that many games coming out for this system. There's going to have to be a day one update. A lot of the bigger games aren't coming out till later, and like you can't even have access to a hard drive that apparently will be made available later on. A lot of the apps and stuff like Netflix and such won't be available. So there's a lot of things that won't be available for the system at launch. And on top of that, they're only coming in limited supply. So it's possible they are doing kind of like a soft launch, getting the system out there. But really, what this is all meant is to be like a trial period, gauge things, see how people feel about the voice chat options and the whole internet server. So when they finally launch that new paid online service, they've been able to tweak things and gauge what their consumers actually want to make sure they have a more quality experience. So I kind of see what they're doing with this potential soft launch thing. I think it's a good idea, and it could bode well for the system in the future. People may complain in the beginning, but this is kind of typical of console launches. Most consoles don't come out fully featured. It's something that sort of evolves throughout time. What do you guys thought?
Xbox One is a good example of that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you boot up your Xbox One now, it looks absolutely nothing like it did day one.
Also,
Yes.
the 360. I mean,
I remember that. It was so different. It changed so many
PlayStation
times.
3.
Yeah.
Also,
Except the Wii U's looked exactly the same.
Also, I think that whatever happens as far as...
It was a lot slower. That's the only...
What's that?
No, I was just saying the Wii U, when you first got it, it ran a lot slower. They had to have multiple updates over the span of a year to optimize the operating system. What were you saying, Andy?
No matter what happens as far as what the online features are, you're getting it free. Okay, so for the first 6 months, there's no reason why people should complain because you're not paying a dime for it. Now, after the fact, then they obviously they need to listen to what the needs are of everyone and try to make the changes necessary before they start charging. But remember, people need to remember that for the first 6 months, nobody's paying a dime when it comes to online features.
Yeah. So that's true. I'm not going to complain about free online service. I still think voice chat should be available, but it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. Not to me personally, at least. But if I am paying for it, it's got to be a quality online experience, which is why probably Nintendo's doing this, so they can make sure that when they are ready to launch that online service, they will understand exactly what their consumers want. So that's why they're doing the soft launch.
As long as they get rid of the lag in Smash Bros, then I'm fine.
Oh, yes, please.
I mean, think about this. Like, Nintendo was able to have pretty solid servers for most of the games, and it was all free. So, like, once you have a paid online service... Okay, I said for most of the games. Most of their games. Mario Kart 8 runs fine.
Splatoon
I've never had an issue.
Splatoon runs really well, despite it being, very action-oriented.
Yeah. Smash it's at least better than Brawl, okay? Brawl ran 3 frames per second.
So true.
So I hope that with a paid online service we get a full quality, actual good service, which I think is actually to be expected, and Smash can finally not suck online.
Do you guys think it'll hold up to PS4 and Xboxes?
I think
as far as
Nintendo's
server
going
quality,
for is
I see no reason why not.
Server quality, yeah. But in terms of features, that's where the big question is.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that what Nintendo's going for is something that's going to feel a little different, and there may be some things that people may have some qualms about, but overall, it'll probably be a slightly cheaper online service than the competition, but I think it'll be okay. I don't think there'll be that large of a disparity. And there'll be some things that people may prefer on the Nintendo version, a more Nintendo-style, Nintendo-centric online service.
Such
what
as,
that entails, an online virtual console.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
Yeah, being able to play your old games with online multiplayer, that's a nice little addition. I don't know how exactly they're going to do all that, but I'm hopeful.
Oh man,
Yeah, me
Secret of
too.
Mana. I just thought of that. Secret of Mana online. That would be kind
Wow.
of cool.
How many players is that?
2.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say we should
Wow.
all play it one time.
So we hit the timer again. I gave us an additional few seconds, but I think we're ready to move on to our final topic. Do you guys want to say anything or any sort of rants and add 5 minutes to this one, or should we move on to topic 4 and potentially the most interesting topic of the podcast?
I'm good.
I'm
Yes,
good.
same here.
Okay. All right, here we go. So here's a big question. Are home consoles still viable in today's market? So let me. I don't remember the facts exactly, but we've kind of seen a downward trend in terms of home console sales. Like if you look at the Wii 360 PS3 era versus the era we're going through now, there's a huge sales disparity. Even if you look at the DS PSP sales versus 3DS and I guess Vita sales, like the amount of sales that happened in that generation as opposed to this one, there is a huge disparity. Huge disparity. And the mobile market has expanded significantly. Now, a few years ago, people were saying, "Oh, the mobile market is going to destroy the handheld market," blah blah blah, this and that. And I kind of thought it was trash because I was like, "Hey, the 3DS is selling pretty well," and it has sold pretty well compared to its competition. But compared to the DS, not so much. And I think Nintendo has already made moves like this. They've actually gone into the mobile market, and it's people think that Nintendo is going to be focusing all of their other, aside from mobile, all of their efforts on Nintendo Switch in the future, and that may be the case if the console proves to be successful. So, how do you guys feel about the home console market? Is it changing? Are things going to be different now? Like, what's going on with it?
I think a lot of it has to do with that consoles don't cater to like casual players anymore. Like if you go to the PS4 section at like GameStop or Walmart, every game is like rated M and is not very accessible. But like because smartphones has taken over the casual players. I mean, it doesn't get any more casual than smartphones. So they're not gonna go buy a console where they can just play a game on their phone because they don't really like know the difference really. Like, but they had that option with the Wii and even kind of like the 360 because that sold a lot, and it also had a lot of casual, like the Kinect and like Rock Band and such.
Yeah, I kind of see what you're saying. Yeah, things have changed for sure. I mean, the Xbox and the PS4 are basically just PCs in the living room, but they're not even as good as fully dedicated like gaming PCs. So there's that to consider. So I mean, you have the PC market, you have Steam, and then this portable market. Things are changing. But even now, we look at the PS4 Pro and this Project Scorpio. Like that's even kind of changing our definition of next generations because this is new hardware. It's a lot more powerful, but they're still going to play the exact same games. Like it's not backwards compatible.
Yeah.
It's still compatible. So like the things we've heard from Microsoft is kind of saying like, look, it's still going to play the same games, but we're going to change the way we move forward with generations now. It's no longer about software locked to one system. Like you're going to be able to play on different systems with it, but it's going to be scalable. It's different. So, I mean, how do you guys feel about this Project Scorpio that's coming for Microsoft and the PS4 Pro? Like, what does this mean?
I don't personally. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it, but I don't like it. I don't like the idea that you just purchased a console 2 or 3 years ago that you really haven't had a bunch of killer apps for, because neither the PS4 or the Xbox One, you can really say that there's been a lot of original games on there like there was for the 360 and the PS3. And now, just a couple years later, oh, by the way, this is the better model of this. That's kind of like a big middle finger to the hardcore gaming audience. To me, anyways. That's my opinion on it. I don't like it. That's why Nintendo is in a completely different ocean. They're taking the blue ocean strategy away from all that. And I appreciate that they're doing things their way, even though people are complaining for a $300 brand new system. But I don't like I don't like the way it sounds. I don't like the Project Scorpio, and I don't like the PS4 Pro. To be honest, that's just my opinion.
No, I hear what you're saying, and I feel like there's different directions we could take this. But I first want to harp on what you mentioned about Blue Ocean and Nintendo. See, that used to be kind of like a negative terminology for me because they really were talking about that a lot during the Wii days. And you see, during the Wii days, while it did have good games, it was there were a lot of things about the Wii I didn't like. Like I didn't like the exorbitant amount of wires and peripherals. I didn't like that there was literally no third-party games that I was accustomed to playing on my GameCube that I could play on my Wii, like Soul Calibur, Resident Evil. Those games were not on the Wii because it was the disparity in power was so large and the difference in architecture was vast. So even though the Wii sold amazingly, porting to the system, like you basically have to create a new game. Actually, that's exactly what happened. Like we had with the whole Call of Duty games on the Wii, yeah, they were good, but they basically had to build up an entirely new game so there could be Call of Duty on the Wii. They couldn't port over the Call of Duty versions from PS3 and 360. So I have a bad taste in my mouth when I think about the Blue Ocean strategy for the Wii. But what worked for the Wii is that it was different and they were separate from the competition. Now with the Nintendo Switch, yeah, they are going for that Blue Ocean strategy because they're doing their own thing. They're not directly competing with Sony and Microsoft. But what they're not directly competing with is 4K, right? And 4K is not a big deal as opposed to HD. Like HD was a bigger deal back in the day, and we're getting to the point of diminishing returns. The Nintendo Switch is still going to be a console that is for core gamers. It's going to have a lot of great core gaming experiences. It's not going to be a Wii waggle fest like back in the day. Like there's gonna be some games that are like that. For the most part, we're looking at hardcore games like Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey, Xenoblade 2, Splatoon 2, like games like that. So yeah, Nintendo's separating themselves here, but I just want to point out that that doesn't mean that it's not for core gamers. They can still accomplish both. Is what I'm getting at for the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, I see that, but to me it's look at the change between the Wii U and the Switch, and look at the change between PlayStation 4 to Pro or Xbox One to Scorpio. You
What do you
can
think's
tell
the bigger difference?
What's that?
What do you think's the bigger difference?
Oh yeah, well definitely the Wii U to the Switch, and it's giving people different experiences. It's giving gamers different experiences where you're not doing that with the Pro or the Scorpio. You're just giving
Higher
more
resolution,
high
better frame rate.
resolution. I mean, it's to me, it's how would I say this? It's not really important to like a person that appreciates different kinds of gameplay, different experiences when it comes to playing video games.
The YouTuber Spawnwave actually made some great points about this a few days ago. He was talking about this, and he was talking about, how with PS4 Pro and Project Scorpio, yeah, you're getting frame rate changes and such, but that's not really that big of a jump anymore. Like, back in the days from, like, the Super Nintendo to the N64, from the PS2 to the PS3, those were huge jumps. But the jumps weren't just purely graphical. Yes, they looked graphical. The games looked a lot prettier, but they actually had function to them. They allowed you to do different things. It changed the way you played games significantly. But in terms of gameplay differences between PS4 Pro and PS4, there are virtually none. I mean, the only difference is maybe VR, but that's a whole separate apparatus altogether you have to get on top of the PS4 Pro. So we have reached a point of diminishing returns, because I can guarantee you that if I were to show someone who wears glasses, if I were to show like my dad, right, if he were to look at Resident Evil 7 on a 4K television versus Resident Evil 7 on a 1080p television, one running on PS4 Pro versus PS4, he may say, yeah, you know what, that one looks a little sharper. But if I told him he had to pay an additional $400 to play it, he'd be like, well, this one's fine. Like, he won't think it's worth it.
Yeah, it's actually become a money game, because I'm actually, I have a PlayStation 4 Pro, and I'm kind of hypocritical because I'm going to get the Scorpio because I like to buy new and shiny things. But it's to the point where it's very confusing now. And I go to GameStop a lot, and I even see people come in and, they'll ask about the PlayStation 4. And they'll say, well, we got a PlayStation 4 for this much, and we have a PlayStation 4 Pro, which is $100 more. And they're like, well, what's the difference? And it's getting to the point where it's very confusing. And it's going to be even more confusing when the Scorpio comes out, because we still have a ton of people. We have 25 million people out there who have an Xbox One, and they're going to think that they're going to be left out in the dark because a new system came out. And while I do buy the systems, it is very confusing for the average gamer. And I think that Nintendo is separating themselves from that.
Right. I think Nintendo is putting themselves in a situation where, yeah, the home console market is changing. Like, I've adapted to mobile. But what they're doing with the Switch is they're combining their handheld and home console markets, and they're bringing something to us that is different. Like, people have said, oh, well, the Switch is just the same thing as the NVIDIA Shield tablet. In a way, it is. It's similar, yeah, because it's a tablet you can hook up to your television and play games, and you can also play on the go. Yes, but in the way they're doing it, the simultaneous, the very seamless switching, that is unique. And the ability to play local multiplayer wherever you want, and the way it's being done is unique. And this whole package altogether is something completely different. So we hit our timer, but I think it's safe to say we're going to add 5 minutes to this topic. So yeah. You guys okay with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So again, back to what I was saying about the Switch. Like, they're doing something different here, and if it can sell well, and if the Nintendo Switch can get that multi-plat support, if they can get the Resident Evil 7s, the FIFAs, the NBA 2Ks, the Call of Duties, the Grand Theft Autos, like if that happens, oh my god, the Overwatches, if it gets things like that, on top of, consistent high-quality Nintendo games and a slew of indies, I think the average consumer is going to look at the Nintendo Switch and going to say, hey, this system is running the same games. It looks pretty much the same. It plays all these interesting Nintendo games that none of the other competition has, but I can take it on the go and I can play it at home. This seems like a much, much better deal. Because if Nintendo can do that, if they can acquire that support and that steady stream of content and present that to people and market it well, the average consumer is going to look at the Switch and see how much more valuable it is compared to the PS4 Pro or the Xbox One Scorpio, because the jump is significant. But it's not about graphics anymore, because of diminishing returns. You can hardly tell a difference. It's about application and what you can do with it and how much better it improves your gaming life.
Yeah, and also the Switch is going to have something that the Xbox and the PlayStation does not have, and that is Nintendo-made games. And I don't care what anybody says, Nintendo makes the best first-party games on the planet, and I just can't see anybody competing against them. I mean, Mario, Zelda, their stable of IPs is pretty amazing, and they still have a lot of, IPs that they haven't even tapped into from the past.
And new IPs that they keep coming out with. Splatoon's great. Arms looks really good.
Arms is looking very good. I mean, Xenoblade is it's not a new IP anymore, and it's kind of like based off Xenosaga, but still, it's something that's by Nintendo. It's a relatively fresh franchise, and that's huge. It's a huge franchise now. So, they have so much going for it. What do you say?
I was going to say, I also think Brave Oasis, that 3DS game, I think it looks really cool.
That looks really good.
Yeah, they have some new 3DS IPs that they've introduced, a lot, actually. And now that it seems like they're combining their markets, I think we should save that discussion for another day. But if they are combining their dev teams, like, we're going to see a lot of those IPs that were made on the 3DS come to the home console market. And a lot more people are going to see that, and you're going to see it with, obviously, those beautiful HD visuals. Like, that Nintendo they have a lot. And if they combine their handheld and home console efforts, they can bring out a lot of games, and that alone, without third-party support, if you count indie support and Nintendo simply combining their mobile and handheld dev teams, they could probably support the system significantly better than the Wii U, and that could be enough for a lot of people. But if they get that third-party support, it's kind of like, in terms of like overall value, like, I don't see how you could not want to switch over 4K unless 4K is really that important to you. Although VR is a whole other subject, and maybe VR could be a selling point for Scorpio or PS4 Pro.
Yeah. All I know is that we're getting a Mario 3D title holiday. Mario 3D title holiday. That's all you got to say right there. And after this holiday, you're going to see the the biggest push of Nintendo Switch purchasing. Like that's
I agree.
the end of this year, and that's when you're going to see the third parties just flood in next year. 2018 is the year, I think.
I mentioned the soft launch, right? Like we're coming out with Zelda, but there's not that many systems coming out. The online's not ready yet. Different things like that. But come holiday season, like you're saying, we're gonna have Mario, we're gonna have Zelda, we're gonna have Xenoblade, we're gonna have Splatoon, we're gonna have Mario Kart. Okay, and people complain about there not being a pack-in game or the $300. By holiday season, either Nintendo's gonna drop the system to $250, or they're probably gonna have a pack-in game. It might be Mario, it might be Zelda, and that's gonna dramatically increase the value of the system. You gotta have all those games ready, and there's the rumblings of a Pokemon game being available by holiday season, potentially a Smash game being available by holiday season, and also portable Skyrim being available by holiday season. And there's probably some other stuff too. By that point, the Switch will have some more third-party support based off what we're hearing. So if all that is there, and they have the stock available by holiday season, like the system is going, it's going to sell extremely well. I think Splatoon 2, it's Mario Kart, Zelda, Mario, how can that not be successful? It sounds insane. I mean, maybe that's through my goggles as a Nintendo fan, but I'm pretty sure those are pretty popular franchises that a lot of people are going to want to play, especially with the Switch. It seems like it has a really great value to me. Especially if they come out with a pack-in game by holiday season, which I think they will. I think they're going to do something to increase the value come holiday season to compete with the $200 PS4 by that point.
Yeah. Yeah, I
So,
totally agree.
Yeah.
And also, you mentioned something about VR. The Switch is basically VR
Almost
compatible if you think about it, because if you get some really cheap mobile style goggles, and you use the Joy-Cons, you basically have virtual reality right there.
My only contention with that is that I don't know if you guys have seen that patent about putting a Switch into a goggle environment, or actual goggles, you literally put the screen side. That sounds so interesting.
Yeah.
But the Switch is only a 720p screen, which is great for what it is, but from what I hear for VR, it's not good. You need 2K or something for it to be a good resolution for VR. I mean, maybe the goggles will have that themselves.
PlayStation VR is 1080p.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
sure?
if Nintendo could come out with a cheap peripheral, little cheap piece of plastic that costs $45 or $50. Hey, now you could use your Switch as a VR machine, even if it's at 720p. Dude, people aren't gonna care.
Yeah.
They'll be like, wow, and then do a pack-in or something with the game 350 VR machine that's portable. You could take anywhere. I mean, people will jump on that.
It even comes with the controllers, which I've heard from some developers is competitive with the Oculus Rift and the Vive, right? So sounds kind of crazy, but that's an incredible value.
Combine that with the HD Rumble, and you can have probably a better experience with VR than any other, than you could get anywhere else.
Right, it'd be very immersive. The Switch with that, it could be $350, $50 headset or goggles or whatever, and then compare that to having to buy a PS4
Pro, $400, VR,
and then
$400, iToy, $50, controllers, I don't even know.
Then the games.
It's
like $1,000.
The system has an accelerometer and gyroscope built into it, so it'll track your movement, just like a cell phone.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Maybe the goggles will make the picture be even better than
maybe they could somehow combine the screen of the Switch on top of the goggles, and maybe that could somehow make up for the 720p. I don't know if that's possible. I feel like it is possible, but I don't know if they have the technology to actually pull that off. But if they can,
they've experimented with similar things. I don't know if you guys ever downloaded the parades that were on the Wii U. With the Wii U gamepad? Did you
I have
ever?
not done that.
No, it's you pay I don't know $3 and you could walk down Tokyo or something. And you
I know
could
what you're talking
look
about.
all around. I mean, so they've experimented with stuff like this before.
They did it with the now dead Google Earth app that was on the Wii U also.
Yeah, and you could it was like kind of like an augmented reality thing and move it around. The portability of the Switch gives that some viability, but there is another issue though that comes to VR, and that's actual specs. The Switch's specs, I mean, even if it's the higher specs reported by the Foxconn, that's nowhere near PS4 Pro, and power is important for the whole VR setup. I mean, there have been mentions of a supplemental computing device. I don't know. This whole VR thing, maybe a few years down the line, maybe the Switch 2 will be that. Maybe the Switch 2 will have a better resolution. It'll have a more affordable goggles. It'll have 4K. It'll be able to accomplish all of that. So I don't know. I feel like the Switch is a stepping stone to potentially a good VR environment for the average consumer, like affordable. But I just don't think we're there yet. There's too many hoops, in my opinion, because you have the resolution issue, you have the specs issue. But yeah, the controllers seem like it could work really well. But I don't know. The specs and the resolution, it just seems like too much of a hurdle, in my opinion. But who knows? Maybe a couple years down the line, maybe Nintendo will figure it out.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, all right, guys. So, are there any closing comments you want for this discussion? We ran a little bit over with our final topic, but it got a little interesting, so that's okay.
Yeah, the whole VR
Nothing?
part was basically a whole new conversation.
It was a whole new conversation. But it's true. I think Nintendo, these are my closing comments. I think we could talk about VR, we can talk about the portability, we can talk about motion controls, we can talk about potential multi-plats, we can talk about indie games, we can talk about touch options, we can talk about the phone app, and we can talk about hardcore Nintendo games and the combination of handheld and home console. Like, there are so many things about this system. Like, it's very easy for someone to just look at it, it's like, oh, okay, I get it. But I think it's so smart with the way everything they're doing. Like, you look at ARMS and the way you play with the controls, like, the way you hold it's completely different from any other way you would hold it, but it makes so much sense. Like, it's very smart. Like, they thought of it from so many different angles, literally. And I just think the Switch, Nintendo has set it up in a way where it's going to be a really flexible and dynamic system. Because, like, even with the docking, like, they can easily release a whole other dock setup that can add more power if they need to do that. Then you literally just switch it in, and that's it. It's more powerful. It can run games at a higher resolution, at a higher frame rate. Like, that's literally all they have to do. And, I mean, I'm sure it's slightly more complicated than that, but you guys understand what I'm saying. Like, the Switch has the ability to change itself because of the way it's been designed. Like, it's just so flexible. And I think they have a lot of options here with the Switch, and it's exciting. The potential is nearly boundless, and I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, they could also release a updated system down the road. It's just the screen, the system itself without the controllers, because you can just snap your other controllers into it, and it would save a lot of money.
That's true. Or the other way around. It's just they could do whatever the hell they want. Like, they have options.
Exactly.
So, all right, guys. I think that is there anything else that needs to be said? I think we covered pretty much everything.
Yeah. Pretty much.
All right, guys. So to our viewers, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for following us and staying up to date with everything we put out. If you have any questions for the next podcast that you would like us to address, please voice them in the comments below. And please check out Inside Gaming Online, NintendoAndy, NintendoAndy, and Monolith Gaming, as along with myself, Andres Restart. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Thanks for watching, everyone. That's Nintendo Super Podcast. See you later.
See you guys.
Later.
Take care.